Good afternoon. I really appreciate you having me back at this summit. My name is Sean Newfer. I'm a Senior Director of Teaching and Learning at the Community Solution Education System, also a business psychologist and Senior Adjunct Professor at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. Today I'd like to explore changes in educational technology and especially artificial intelligence. How are they impacting our students? What does that mean for our classrooms? This past year hasn't just been about new tools, it's also been about new mindsets. And I think it's important for us to realize that we're truly in a moment of transition. Over the past year, AI has gone from a curiosity to a common tool. We're living through the transition, and schools are really at the center of it. And students are experimenting with AI in ways that we didn't really anticipate even a year ago. So earlier this month, I was at a regional conference for accreditation in higher education, and at one of the sessions, there was a comment about how traditionally the fundamental levels of education have been about answering questions, whereas the levels in higher education have been about asking the right questions. And so the conundrum is around how can we approach this? What are we to do now that AI does a pretty decent job at answering fundamental questions? And my thoughts are that regardless the subject matter content, I think there's always going to be foundational content that our students need to demonstrate. They need to memorize certain concepts and processes, and there's just vocabulary that they need to learn. But I don't know in the future if we're going to have such a distinction between levels of education, whereas some levels answer questions and other levels ask the right questions. But probably there's going to be a need for students to demonstrate proficiency in both at all levels of education, and that there's always going to be memorization involved with whatever field of study, and we need to demonstrate proficiency in those things. But also our students are going to need to demonstrate proficiency in using AI to ask the questions, to answer those questions, and then to critique the outputs that AI give us. And it's interesting, our students in today's society, they have tremendous opportunities to not just be passive learners, but to be active collaborators and even content creators as they engage in their education. In that way, our teaching practices must evolve as well. So at my institution, my office has done surveys for students, our students, since 2012. We run a survey every 2 years of higher education students within our system. We have 6 universities and colleges across 12 campuses. We have 4 modalities, so traditional learning, online learning, and then we have blended and high flex across the myriad of subjects. We have business schools and health sciences, education, psychology. So our response is this last survey that we administered, which was a couple months ago, had about 1,200, almost 1,300 students responding. And although these respondents are adult learners, they tend to be older, they do represent what your students will be becoming, and what they'll need to be ready for. And so the data paints an interesting story. We really focused on online learning and educational technology, and especially artificial intelligence. So I want to talk about the responses that we got, the insights, especially around AI, which is the focus of this summit. So we wanted to know, how are our students using AI? And we found at the graduate levels, and some of the respondents were undergraduate, some were graduate students, they tend to use it for grammar, clarity checks, as well as citation helps and summarizing, rewording their writing. One of the comments was, I use AI to clean up my writing, make it sound better. I don't trust it to do the thinking for me. We're finding that our students are primarily using AI for surface level tasks. They're cautious, they don't fully trust it, but they're still using it. And we found from the written comments, the insights that we found are that students really want guidance. One of the main purposes of this survey that we do is to identify what are the needs and expectations that our students have regarding things like educational technology and AI versus how is it being used in the classroom. Are we able to identify any gaps in expectations versus what's being offered? And then my office would come in and try and remedy those gaps. And so we determined that students are cautious, they're curious rather, but they're unsure. and they are asking what's allowed, what's ethical usage of AI. And they're saying, please help me use this in the right way. And I think that these findings were pretty powerful. Students are not trying to get away with things, but rather they're asking for help. They want rules, and more than that, they want mentorship. One of the students said, I don't want to cheat, I just want to know what's okay. So with that said, I have found in my classes that there are at times students who rely heavily on AI, even for low stakes assignments, such as reflections. And whether this is cheating or simply over-reliance on the tools that are available, I found that often breaches in academic integrity, what we would consider breaches, generally are symptoms of one of three things. And it could be more, but these are my own insights. First thing would be poor time management. Students often rushing to get work done by any means necessary or by any means available to them. Another thing would be lack of rapport with their teachers. Think of the community of inquiry model. It's important that students have strong relationships with their cohort, their fellow classmates, with their teacher, with the course content. And a third thing would be lack of motivation. If the students truly feel like what I'm assigning them is busy work, if it has no valence, and if they find no meaning in it, then they're not going to be motivated. Rather than if it's a hard assignment, but they find value in it, then they're going to do the work to get that done. And so behind these reasons, I think it's important to recognize a couple of fundamental truths. And one is that cheating existed prior to technology, prior to AI. Oftentimes, a student will put in more work to do a workaround for the assignment than actually if they were to engage in the task and complete it. At any rate, the technology is merely magnifying pre-existing tendencies, and it's not the reason why students are cheating. But also another truth that I want to point out is that we have an opportunity and a responsibility as teachers in order to help our students discover the value in the content that we're teaching so we can help drive engagement. We need to really look for ways to make personal connections with the material, and so that our assignments and our assessments truly align with the goals, the interests of our students in real-world applications. I think the successful classrooms of the future are going to be those that truly create environments where learning, it feels meaningful and it's empowering to the students. And just a tip, you can use AI to help you generate those classroom activities and assignments. Go onto AI and have it help you cater your classroom to the specific needs, interests, and goals of your students. And that can be something that you do on a daily basis, or at least, for every class that we encounter, every roster is unique. And so AI can help us address those things. Another point, I want to shift gears a little bit. And I want to emphasize that teachers need support too. We need time, space, and support to understand what these tools can do, what AI can do. And also, importantly, what it is that they can't do. And this is not specific to Beaverton School District, but in general, faculty really need support. They have uncertainty about AI at every institution pretty much. Sometimes that's a lack of clear institutional guidance, and sometimes it's a need for professional development. But it's important that, faculty shouldn't just be concerned about catching AI use in their classrooms, but they need to be actively preparing their students for a world where AI is normal. Think about the K-12 trajectory. It's pretty linear, it's a progression, and it's pretty obvious. Third grade is preparing students so that they can enter into fourth grade, and we find that all the way from K-12. Every grade is preparing for the next grade. And then after graduation, there's generally a couple of trajectories that we'll find our students in. They might go to the workforce or the military, or they might attend college or a trade school. In either case, we should be asking ourselves, what is it that our students are going to be doing? What are my students going to be doing when they finish my class, or when they leave this school, or when they graduate from our district? And how best can I prepare them for that? And I think part of that answer is going to involve AI. Not everything revolves around AI, and that's not the only fundamental skill that we can teach our students, but it's going to be an important variable in the equation. So we talked about students, talked about teachers. I want to talk also about our institutional leadership across the industry. We need consistent approaches, we need clear messages, we need proactive planning. So points I want to make are that teachers can't do this alone. Our students need consistent messaging, and our schools really should be providing policies, at least some guidelines or communication, as well as a vision, as well as resources. I mentioned proactive planning. Even reactive planning is better than no planning at all. But this needs to be on our radar, and this needs to be an important talking point for all of us. Now, I'll mention also that academic integrity isn't just about banning tools. It's about building responsibility. So when our students use AI, they need to learn how to retain their own thinking and their own voice. Academic integrity, it's not just about plagiarism, but it's about authorship, voice, and the thought of our students. And we need to teach our students how to think, not just produce. And I think that's the importance going forward, about just the importance of the process as opposed to the deliverables. Traditional education has always been about the deliverables, and we need to instead focus on the process that they're going through and the thinking that's involved. So how do we prepare for the next thing? Our students are not going to be competing with AI in the future. They're going to be working alongside it. And so I feel like our job is to build the right habits right now. They need to be asking questions. They need to be evaluating their sources. They need to be critiquing AI outputs, and they really need to own their learning. It's really a part of life. It's not just a part of school, but it's a part of work, life, college, whatever endeavor. AI is in our GPS. It's in our streaming services. If you're streaming music or movies, it's our virtual assistants, our Siris and our Alexas. It's in our social media feeds. It's in our email filters, our home smart devices, facial recognition, health diagnostics, language translation, voice to text, our fitness apps. I could go on and on. I actually have a list that's twice as long. But the important thing is that when we talk about literacy, things in our classroom, like we need to teach our students literacy, that also includes digital literacy, and AI fluency is a critical, vital part of the digital literacy that we need to teach. We're teaching future-ready skills. So I want to share with you a case study, and this came from one of our institutions called Saybrook University. In Saybrook University, this program is a graduate program, so doctorate level students, and they had an interesting assignment. This is about a year ago, and they've been doing it for this past year. But I'm going to tell you about the first time they ran this experiment in their class. The students had 2 prompts that they could choose from, and they were to go to AI. They could choose whichever AI they wanted and put that prompt in the AI. Don't interact with the AI, just get an output and then analyze that output. So they were looking for gaps in logic, formatting errors, which would have been APA 7, as well as are the findings accurate. And so the results were, there were 18 students in this class, this graduate class. 8 of those students didn't find any errors, although every output contained errors. 4 of them found only APA formatting errors. 3 of them found reference errors and APA errors, but they missed the inaccurate content representation. And then 3 of the students correctly identified all of the errors in content, in reference, in formatting. So 3 students out of 18, that's 1 in 6 doctorate level students, were able to identify all of the errors in the output. 8 out of 18, nearly half of them didn't find any errors in the output, when all of the outputs contained errors. So overall, the students in the activity, they found this incredibly insightful and, it's just tremendously important. Generative AI is essentially just a very sophisticated autocorrect tool, but it's not a disseminator of wisdom and knowledge necessarily. Although it can do some of that, we still need subject matter experts. We still need humans. We need logic. We need humans who are at the core of contributing new knowledge and insights to our society. So now, on to one of everybody's favorite slides. Let's sum up our thoughts. And I want to focus on what can the Beaverton School District do right now, acknowledging that there isn't a one-size-fits-all answer, but there are some pretty clear steps. So we want to start conversations about AI now. And if those conversations already exist, consider joining that conversation. And I would like us all, in our industry to share our resources, our discoveries, what's working well, what's not working well, what's something that we really want to try. We need to build awareness around that. We need to teach ethical technology use, not just AI, but all technology. It can be used as tools, and we don't want over-reliance on tools, but we do want to know exactly what those tools can be used for. What's their purpose? What are their limitations? A lot of that goes back to what I was saying about technology, digital literacy, and AI fluency, going to be so important in our society. We also need to support our teachers with professional development and with resources. At the school level and at the district level, we need to develop adaptable school-wide guidelines. And it's likely that these guidelines need to be revised regularly, week by week. In the past several weeks from today, it seems like every week there's been a major development with almost all of the AI tools. New functionality introduced, new levels, new things are going to be dropped. The pipeline is just so short. And so, these, and I know, again, this isn't a one-size-fits-all answer, but every step we take right now truly makes a difference. So we're not just adapting to AI, we're preparing our students for a world of possibility. Our job is not just to teach subjects. We're shaping the thinkers, the creators, the citizens of a future that we simply can't predict. And so this is really a privilege and a responsibility that we have, and it all starts in your classroom. So I hope these thoughts are helpful for you, and I want to thank you for having me. I hope that you have many more illuminating and enlightening conversations in the next few hours. Thank you so much.